Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Patreon podcast. This week I wanted to talk about trust, specifically trusting your past and future selves. This is something that I actually struggled with for a very long time before I finally got into the groove and understanding how this works. Really, what this means is that you have to understand that the work you did in the past is good and not always worth rechecking. And the work you're going to do in the future is good, and you don't always have to future-proof yourself. And I just recently processed all of the 2-hour album challenge songs, which is usually a very large and arduous process. And I took a long time to figure out a system in which I can do this quickly and smoothly. And once that system was in place, I have to trust my past self that I set it up correctly, where I'm not constantly going back and checking to make sure that the formulas in the Excel formulas that I used are incorrect, or that everything is coming in wrong and I have to go and double check all of the work that came in and all this other stuff. And it's just... It's a process of trust, but it's just trusting the work that you've done in the past is worthwhile and it's actually accurate. And this took me a long time to figure out. This is a kind of a long time ago, but I had problems with my memory a long time ago where I had troubles remembering places and people and all this other stuff. And one of the things that I had to learn to do was to trust my memory. And I can't say this is like medical advice or anything, but I I forced myself to try to remember something before I looked it up. And it's so easy with, having a phone in your pocket these days to just look everything up and not really worry about remembering anything. But I tried my best to remember things personally, and then if I really couldn't figure it out, then I'd look it up. Or if I was unsure about the answer that I got, then I'd look it up just to make sure. But that was kind of where I started to learn that I needed to build trust in my past self and in my memory to kind of function, which goes a little deeper than the creative work. But I think that it's still very important to have that trust in yourself. And there's a lot of things that I have set up that requires trust in my past self, including releasing an album. There's a system that I have in place for all of the steps that I need to do to release an album. And that system was set up a long time ago. And, sometimes I go in and I tweak it a little bit but for the most part, it's just something that I have and I have to follow. And I trust myself that it does exactly what I need it to do. Conversely, we can talk about trusting your future self. And this is something that I'm still struggling with a little bit, where I try to future-proof things. I try to make things, and you should make things easy on yourself in the future, but you should also not treat yourself like an idiot too, where it's good to leave comments on your programming, or it's good to kind of better understand what you're going to be doing in the future, but it's also good to just believe that the work that you're going to do in the future, I apologize, my phone is buzzing. It's good to believe that the work you do in the future is also going to be valid and good. Because otherwise, all you're doing is just doubling your work. You're doing it now and you're doing it later. And this also goes back to the memory thing, where if you're not thinking about all of this stuff all of the time, or let me put it better, if you don't trust yourself in the future, you're constantly thinking about this stuff all of the time, and it fills up your mental bandwidth, which I know we've talked in the past, and that constriction on your bandwidth means you can't really get anything else done until you finish this one project that's stuck in your head. So it's good to try to just kind of set that aside, leave notes for yourself, trust that your future self will take up, where you left off, and just continue to move forward that way. Yeah, I mean, this is really just touching the surface of it, but there's a lot to think about here, and hopefully I gave you something to like consider, I guess. It's actually been a little while since I've recorded one of these. I had like a 2-month backlog, and now I'm down to like a week. So I'm getting back into the swing of it. But yeah, like I hope that you found this one useful. I really do think that it's valuable to trust your past and future selves, because otherwise you're going to be putting a lot of extra work into something that really isn't necessary. So that's everything I have for this week. Thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter, and thank you so much for listening. I'll see you in the next one. Be remarkable.